Hi guys, Sarah here, and welcome to Novel Expectations. Today I am coming to you with a discussion video about the reason why I am choosing to reread a lot of my books that I read in my childhood. The reason I decided to do this is because early in December I was on Amazon and I noticed that they re-released the Nancy Drew Case Files, Babysitter's Club, Sweet Valley High, and Fear Street for the Kindle. And I got super duper excited. Because for a while there, a couple years ago, I was trying to recollect all those books by visiting used bookstores and what have you. But it was hard to find them, you weren't finding the best copies, and you run out of room. I mean, the Babysitter's Club, I think, had over 130 books. Nancy Drew, I think, was up to about 170. Sweet Valley was over 100. And I don't remember how many there were in Fear Street, maybe 50 or 60. That's a huge amount of space that I really don't have. So to have them on the Kindle was super exciting, and I thought it would be really fun to reread these. Not just collect them, quote unquote, but read them as well. The Nancy Drew Case Files and the Fear Street books, I don't remember as well, because I think those ones I didn't tend to own. Those ones I went to the library and picked up, so I usually only read them once, maybe twice. Whereas the Babysitter's Club and Sweet Valley, I mean, I read those all the time because I own copies of them. So, what I've decided to do is, once a month, pick another book from one of those 4 series and read it. I am going to go in chronological order of the series, so I just finished this week reading the very first book in the Nancy Drew Case Files, and then I plan on, kind of randomly picking the next one. It might be the Babysitter's Club, and I'll read Christie's Great Idea in February. Now, the way I'm going to work this is because these are not long books. Like, these are really not long books at all. And to be honest, as an adult reading a book meant for a middle grader or even a younger YA audience member, they're quite easy to read. A couple of years ago, I bought this book, and it is the first book in the Babysitter's Club series, and it is Christie's Great Idea. And it is a graphic novel. Now, this was super duper easy to read. I think I finished it in less than an hour. Now, granted, you do not have the periods of explanation that you would normally have in a book, where they're describing the scene or the setting or what everybody else is doing. This is literally a comic book. So you're just reading, I think, the actual speech between the characters. I can't remember how much description is actually in here. I don't think very much. But I mean, the pictures really do tell a story. But the fact of the matter is that I finished this rather quickly. So even if I was reading the actual physical text of the novel, I think I could probably still finish it in an afternoon, or less than that, maybe even a couple hours. So these are not difficult books to get through. So pretty much what I'm saying by that is that if I finish that one book, and then I in turn finish the other 3 books that I've picked on my TBR to read from my other books, my more adult books, if you will, I will pick up another Back to My Childhood book. So it's possible I could get 2 or even 3 read a month, depending. We'll see how it goes as the months go on. But I'm so excited about revisiting these. I really think as you get older, and I know I'm not overly that old, I'm 37 in case anybody's curious, or I will be 37 in the beginning of March. But 40's not that far away, and I think about these books that I read when I was 10 or 12 or 15 years old, and it's nostalgia. Like, everything old is new again. A lot of stuff is coming back. Look at how big Ready Player One was last year. That was a huge book, and that predominantly took place with 1980s culture. And these books are so reminiscent of 1980s culture. I mean, they were made in the 1980s. The Nancy Drew book that I read last week talked about a crime going on at the AV Club. And for those of you who might be too young, that's the Audio Video Club. And she talked about VCRs. I mean, that was such a throwback for me. Talking about, the clothing that they wear. I know the Sweet Valley books were sort of rewritten a little bit when they were re-released for the Kindle to update them a bit more to more modern times, which is kind of sad because I think it's the nostalgic factor that makes them so much fun. I mean, there were a ton of us who grew up in the 1980s and 90s who read Sweet Valley. I could probably narrate the first book for you word for word. Exactly what happens in that very first scene of that very first novel. And 2 or 3 years ago, I don't remember when this book came out, but when I heard that this book was being published, I lost my mind. This is Sweet Valley Confidential. For those of you who don't know, who haven't heard of this, but read Sweet Valley as kids, This book takes place 10 years after Sweet Valley High ended. So the girls are now 28 years old. And it's pretty much an epilogue of what happened to all the characters. It wasn't that well written. I mean, it was so campy, it was so silly, it was so much fun. You had to have been a fan of the series when you were a kid to completely appreciate this book. If you were just an adult walking around the store and you never read these books before, don't pick this up because you totally won't enjoy it. But I'm telling you, I absolutely love this. And yes, from all the books, because I don't have a lot of books on my bookshelf, I keep my very favorites, this one got kept just for this nostalgia factor alone. So that's pretty much all I have to talk about this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Did you read any of these books when you were a kid? Which were your favorites? Because I'd love to know. I also love the books by Christopher Pike, but I couldn't find a lot of those on the Kindle. Or I did, but I didn't recognize them. A lot of the older ones like Bury Me Deep and Witch and stuff like that, Chain Letter, those were fantastic. They need to bring those back for the Kindle. And I'm pretty sure with the Sweet Valley books, I don't think they've gotten past book 12 on the Kindle. So let me know if you know of any information about them publishing more, because I really love to reread all of them. But yeah, so like I said, if you guys read any of these, please post in the comments below and let's chat about it. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Till next time, take care. Bye.